What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Okay, we are just about 2 weeks out from the Sean Porter, Danny Garcia title elimination bout, or excuse me, when they fight for the vacant WBC welterweight championship. And it's a fight that is not necessarily one that I wanted to see or that anybody was calling for, because for the most part, boxing fans and the conversations around the welterweight division were around the guy that was stripped of that title, Keith Thurman, and the IBF champion, Errol Spence Jr. That, of course, being before Terrence Crawford won the WBO belt. So, and there's some excitement was being generated for Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, but pretty much that's what the welterweight division was. The fights we were looking for, at least I was looking for. Let me try to speak for myself and many of the people that subscribe on my channel. I'm sure that there are some other people like, Kenny Porter and Sean Porter who are really looking forward to the Danny Garcia Sean Porter fight. But that being said, we're going to get this fight. And it's not a bad, on its face, it's not a bad fight. It's something that I'm excited, I'm looking forward to. I'm definitely going to watch. I'm definitely going to support the fight. And I have Danny Garcia winning it. But what I want to talk about is some of the things that have gone around it and some of the reasons why I'm not as excited for this fight as I really should be. And also some things that continually be said in boxing about whether or not fighters are afraid of other fighters or not. Because whenever somebody doesn't fight somebody specifically, right, we know that Danny Garcia didn't want to face Errol Spence Jr. Sean Porter was not looking very excited to get in the ring with Errol Spence Jr. Keith Thurman went into witness protection program right around the time that people were talking about him fight Errol Spence Jr. I think I said Sean Porter was not looking forward to fighting Errol Spence Jr. So none of these guys on that side of the street were looking for Errol Spence Jr. And that's just the truth. That's not, I'm not whether or not what the reason for that is, it could be argued. But the fact that none of those guys were looking for Errol Spence Jr. can be debated because it came out of their mouths. They weren't calling for a fight with Errol Spence Jr. Sean Porter wasn't calling for a fight with Errol Spence Jr. when Errol Spence Jr. is the IBF champion and I say only championship belt that Sean Porter had. I don't mean by saying to diminish his accomplishment, because there's I never had a championship belt. So, hey, he's doing something a whole lot of people never do in their lives. So it says something about him and Kenny Porter that they were able to achieve that. But the fact remains, he never acted like he wanted Errol Spence Jr. So what I want to talk about is I heard something that came out today that Danny Jacobs said about the lead up to the bout that he has with Sergey Deverenchenko. If I mispronounce Deverenchenko, please forgive me. It's a very long name, and I'll try to figure out how to say it properly at another time. But the title, not the title limiter, another two guys fighting for a belt of another champion that was stripped, right? You have Danny Garcia and Sean Porter fighting for Keith Thurman's belt where Keith Thurman was vacated it, right? But, would have been stripped if he hadn't vacated it, more than likely. And then Gennady Golovkin, who was stripped because he didn't sign up to fight Sergey Deverenchenko. But in both of these cases, it's told to us that, or boxing fans, I don't want to speak as if, I am speaking for all boxing fans. I'm certainly not. I'm speaking for myself as an independent person, right? That what I have heard was these things, this statement, which to me is probably one of the dumbest things that a boxer can say, in my opinion. And two, it's something that I believe is patently untrue, and I don't care what anybody has to say about it, fighter or not fighter. They say that, nope, that Danny Garcia says, Danny Jacobs said, or Daniel Jacobs said, that Gennady Golovkin's not scared of Derevchenko. It's just business. Sean Porter, his father, Kenny Porter, says that Sean Porter's not scared of Errol Spence Jr. It's just business. Danny Garcia wasn't scared of Sean Porter. It's just business. It's just business. It's just business. And this idea that boxers cannot be scared, afraid. Now, it's very difficult for somebody who's not a boxer, who's not getting in that ring, to argue with the boxer and say, hey, no, I know that some boxers are afraid. Because if you're not doing it and you're not in there, haven't gone in there afraid, how would you know? And there's this thing in the universe that's given to everybody, and it's called logic. Everybody has fear. Everybody. It is a natural instinct. It is a byproduct of intelligence. You have fear. I have fear. The greatest boxer in my mind, heavyweight boxer, the guy that fought the most competition in heavyweight division, was a heavyweight champion multiple time heavyweight champion between the years of 1963, was it 1964, and 1978. Muhammad Ali said when he was thinking about fighting Sonny Liston, that he was scared to death. He said he was scared to death of Sonny Liston. So we know we have at least one person on record as having said that they were afraid when they got into a ring. You know that tennis, the reason some people choke at tennis is because they're afraid. They see somebody across the ring, across the court from them that they don't believe that they can beat, and they become afraid. And many athletes will just check out. They can't play the way that they want to play. Their stomach, they got butterflies in their stomach. When you have butterflies in your stomach, you're afraid. Now, I don't know what trick people play in their minds to tell when your stomach is about to boil over, and before you go into an event, you got to go into the bathroom and use it. That's not fear. Whatever you want to call it, it's something that it's natural to feel. And if you're not fearful, you're going to take chances that you wouldn't otherwise take. It's just reasonable. Okay. And there are people who can say, well, you start a fire, like how to turn a fire on in a stove. But you're telling me you're not afraid of fire? Go jump. Okay, a forest fire coming by, you go run up in there. Tell me you're not afraid if you see them flames flying at you. Yes, there are some circumstances where you can handle fire, but you got a healthy respect for fire. And if it's a fire that you don't think you can control, you will begin to feel fear because you're an intelligent person. But there's a flip side to it. That statement. Now, you can say, nah, Fanon, you're wrong. You're wrong. Okay, I'm wrong. But I'm a Game of Thrones fan, right? So there's a statement that is made by one character to another. Son asked the father, said, look, I don't know if I can be brave. He said, son, you got to be brave. Because aren't boxers brave? Isn't that what we pay them? Why we pay them? Why we respect them? Because they risk their lives. They risk their lives, and I'm not joking about it. They risk their lives every time they get into a boxing ring. They do. They know that if you get hit by something the wrong way, you can be in a lot of hurt for the rest of your life. And that's real. Nobody would contest that, I don't believe. But yet, and because of that, rather, we say that they're brave. Are boxers brave? Is Sean Porter brave for getting into the ring putting gloves on and going head to head against Danny Garcia in that fight, knowing Danny Garcia got more than enough crack to hurt you, to rearrange your day. Same thing with Sean Porter. Sean Porter hit somebody clean, flush, and you could hear something crack and snap. Right? Those guys are dangerous guys. They're all dangerous guys. Especially at heavyweight, those guys are all dangerous guys. So I would say it's fair to say that they're brave. But how can you be brave if you don't have fear? You have to experience fear to be brave. Because the definition of brave is somebody that's willing to overcome their fear. They're willing to face something that's dangerous. If you don't believe something is dangerous, then you're not brave. You're just doing something that you might as well be tying your shoes. If you don't have any fear, there's nothing keeping you. There's nothing exceptional in doing something where you don't face any fear. Where nobody reasonably believes that you face any danger, you don't believe that you face any danger. Deontay Wilder could fight Leo Santa Cruz. That would not make Deontay Wilder brave for fighting Leo Santa Cruz. Deontay Wilder would be brave fighting Luis Ortiz, because he knows perfectly well if Luis Ortiz hits him with something the wrong way, it can be the end of a lot of things for him. So the reason why I say, going back to it, is that, first of all, it's something stupid to say. Because if you're saying it's just business, it's just business. First of all, that's just some corny line people have been using, off The Godfather. Like, look, man, there's a lot of things that are business that are still personal. If you go to McDonald's, you're like, God dog, man, these dudes, this is all poison. And McDonald's says to you, yeah, we know this is all poison. We know it's going to clog your arteries, and we know that it's terrible for you, that if you eat it, you're going to become obese. And, it's the only thing around here you can afford. We know that. But look, it's business. We're not going to pay for good food that'll make you healthy, because that costs too much. This is business, So when you just lay down, have your heart attack, and don't complain about it. You going to take that? People in Flint, hey, why don't they replace the pipes, the water pipes in Flint, Michigan? Right? Because it costs too damn much money. That's why. They don't want to spend the money. Why? Because it's business. It's not personal. I don't complain. I know your kids are vomiting, and I know that, you might not make it past the age of 45 drinking this shit, but so what? It's personal. It's business. Understand. Why are you asking me to fix it? Right? So, Demetrius Andre, Keith Thurman isn't afraid of Errol Spence. It's just, hey, man, it's just business. Oh, really? So what you want me to pay for? Oh, you want me to pay for Keith Thurman versus Emmanuel Taylor, who moves up to welterweight. That's what we want to see, because, hey, man, that makes business sense for him. It's a waste of my time, but it makes sense for him. Hey, man, it's business. I mean, look, man, it's all these cliches, or what are these cliches or cliches? Something you say that's something hard to, so, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. It is business. Oh, yeah, he is a boxer, so he can never be afraid. There's no way that he's afraid. Look, man, I don't want to hear that. At the end of the day, I want to see the fight. And walk like a duck, quack. If walk like a duck, talk like a duck, it's a duck. And if I'm the one paying my money, I'm going to express my opinion in my dollar. I'm not paying for it. And that's what's hurting boxing. People don't want to pay for garbage just because you say this garbage is good business for the people that are slinging you garbage. You know what I mean? But anyway, it is what it is. Man, good luck to Sean Porter and Danny Garcia, and may the winner fight Errol Spence Jr. so we can see whether or not Errol Spence Jr. is propaganda or not. You know, we'll see whether they're afraid or they're not afraid, or whether they had reason to be afraid or didn't have reason to be afraid. And with that, I'm out. Peace.